be so, all the coaches who are missing it, they'll get a chance to get it on the back end. You can get rolling, Kyle.
All right. No, hey, I appreciate it, guys, having me on. This is a great opportunity for a lot of people. Obviously, we're in a time with this pandemic. Everybody needs to stay safe and, do your part in this. But, it's pretty cool being able to get on this thing on Zoom and talk to you guys and kind of share some things that I've learned along my journey, okay? Look, I just kind of want to make sure I introduce myself. You guys can see I'm from the University of Arizona, right? I'm the run game coordinator, O-line coach. I'm from the West Coast, but played 5 years in the NFL, so I spent a lot of time in Indianapolis with the Colts, and I was at Ball State. So guys from the Midwest, I appreciate it. I'm recruiting Chicago, St. Louis, and in Indianapolis real hard for this upcoming year. But look, I'm not gonna keep you guys on here and start boring you with my background. What I wanted to do was kind of give you guys a couple things that I really focus on this spring. Each off season, I try to not just talk about run blocks and pass blocks with my guys, and try to create what we did this year of creating championship habits. But something that I always refer to, and something I give my guys all the time, just 10 things that require zero talent. All right. This is simple things that everybody could do. I don't care if you're the 5-star recruit or if you're the walk-on lineman. These are things everybody can do. And being on time, right, takes no talent. There's no skill involved in that. Having a strong work ethic, giving great effort, being high energy, having a positive attitude, being passionate, right? These things are who we are as linemen. And using good body language, being coachable, doing a little extra, being prepared. Those are 10 things we talk about in our room that doesn't take any effort or energy, all right? And you don't have to be great to do those things. But if we all do these things, we all can't be great, all right? This spring, we focused on setting goals, okay? I'm a big believer in setting goals and achieving those goals. And so setting attainable goals, okay? I don't want a freshman right in there. I want to be drafted next year. All right, every day it's something different, okay? But we set short-term goals. Obviously, we didn't get to see these things fulfilled. Can you guys read the wording over here, Coach?
Yep, all good.
Okay, right. So we set 3 short-term goals, and that was specifically for spring and summer. Long-term goals, right, within the next year or two, okay? And then we set career goals. Obviously, as football coaches, we are coaches, but we are also educators. We're also counselors. We're also father figures to some, right? So we all play different roles. We all wear different hats. So I kind of wanted to see, hey, guys, where do you see yourself in 10 years, all right? And then this is something we did every day. We only had 4 practices, but every day we set a daily goal. And what I wanted to achieve with that was, from our film study the prior day or the prior practice, let's set a goal on something you didn't do very well. Whether that was your hand placement in pass pro, it was your second step in the run game, it was your angles in a combination block, whatever it was, write those down and focus on those things. I think a lot of times, especially in the line world, you look at big picture and then you can isolate things, right? At the end of the day, getting your job done is getting it done. But if you can pinpoint one thing each day and focus on that at practice, I think you could start adding those up in what we call stack days. Okay, so we want to stack one day on top of the next day. Okay, so this was a piece of paper we handed out on day 1 of spring. These are just little 5x7 cards that we would do, and they turn into my GA, Luke McNitt, who's on the Zoom call right now. He would compile those, and then we'd show examples. All right, so every day, one guy would say, hey, I got to work on that pass per punch, and we'd show an example of that. And just to reiterate and reinforce why setting daily goals are good. All right. And then kind of I coincided each meeting with a quote. All right. And our theme was creating championship habits. Okay. This one was from Vince Lombardi. All right. Winning is not a sometime thing. It's an all the time thing. You don't win once in a while. You don't do things right once in a while. You do them right all the time. Winning is a habit, Vince Lombardi. And so what I wanted to do was kind of reinforce the little things matter, okay? Do the little things right, and the big things will take care of themselves, all right? And then so that was a little something I've done. And obviously, in the day of the age of the internet, you can get online and Google championship quotes, leadership quotes. You can Google all these things and come up with some really neat things people have said over time, and kind of mold it to what you want to accomplish. All right, look, guys, I'm gonna get right into the run game and how we talk about it. All right, this is my run game philosophy. Okay, this is what we do here at the University of Arizona. This is what we believe in. All right, I threw in my guy Max Unger, who I coach at the New Orleans Saints. I think he's one of the best centers to ever play the game. But what we talk about is there's 3 keys to success. Okay, it's looking at the top. Foot pattern, right? Never stop your feet. I believe if you start efficiently, you're going to give yourself a chance to win. And then strike, all right? Knock his ass off the ball. All right, I'm going to talk to you guys like O-line coaches. I'm being an O-line coach right now, but we want to knock their ass off the ball. There's nothing soft. There's nothing that says you got to be passive in the run game, all right? And then a finish, right? 7 seconds of violence, okay? That is a mindset either some guys are instilled with, or some guys you have to instill it in them. And you got to create that mindset that I can finish for 7 seconds. All right. 3 points of contact. Okay. So we use hands and flippers. All right. We can talk about top of the pads and then your eyes and your hat placement. Okay. Obviously, the way the game's going, you're trying to be safer and trying to take the head out of it. But what it does is it tells you your eyes and your hat place where your target is. Okay, striking. Okay, when I make contact, it is an upward thrusting motion. Okay, we don't hit where our chest is on the ground. We don't hit with our chest facing out. This is an upward thrusting motion. Right, bring your belly button on contact. Okay, everybody is seen as an airplane takeoff. Right, it doesn't go from the ground to 30,000 feet of elevation. There's a gradual climb, and that's what our spine should look like. Okay. And then keep your power underneath you, not behind you. As I make contact, you have to bring your hips through to keep your power. And then just a visual, right? Exploded snatch. All right. When I strike him, I'm going to take his breastplate off the top of the defender's shoulders. That kind of coincides with the strike, with the upward thrusting, bringing your belly button, snatch and explode. All right. So, look, I'm going to take you guys through our run game progression. We're going to just talk about inside zone, outside zone, and then our footwork when we're the post player on combinations. All right. So I use fouls, guys. I don't use boards. I really focus on the initial footwork. Okay. But the first part of our run game progression, learn to open hips and track landmarks. Okay. I want to start efficiently, and I got this from Arthur Ray's coach, Dan Roshar. Okay, I listened to him speak just like we're doing here at the Cool Clinic. Yep. And he talked about, everybody in the O-line profession talks about your second step. Not everybody. Majority of guys talk about that second step to contact. Well, he thought it got overdone. And so what he really focused on was that first step. The faster your first step gets down, the faster your second step can take place, and therefore career power. All right. So look, when we talk about inside zone, and you are the covered lineman, back this up a little bit, and you're the covered lineman. Okay. This is inside zone. Some of you guys call it tight zone, whatever you want to call it. Okay. If you're covered, this is a right guard, this is a center, this is a right tackle, left guard, left tackle, and you're covered on the inside. Our aiming point is dead center. It's a sternum aiming point. Okay. We call this a bucket drive. So the first step is a bucket step. And this would be, the red line is like the towel you'll see in a second. Okay. And all I'm looking at is a 1 to 3 inch step. Just pick it up, put over the towel, and I'm really focused on opening my hips. All right. And we say for success, right? So I can put myself in a successful position. All right. The second step, it's going to not cross over the towel. If you looked at this, I want to match his feet on essentially a 45-degree angle. All right. And then as I hit him dead center, I can work to his play side number. All right. Alert to drop step for more width and more depth on the backside. Everybody knows on the backside, everything has to happen faster. All right. So sometimes you got to go flatter and faster on the backside. And then I always want a strong inside hand control. I'm always looking to control the inside portion of this defender. All right. But I want to create, I want to move this guy laterally. Very rarely can you drive block a guy 5 yards backwards. I want to distort this guy laterally. And if I have a combination, that's where you get vertical. That's where you can distort people vertical and create running lanes. Okay. So here's our towel drills. This is something we do every day. Please do not watch the 2 guys in the green jerseys. Those guys are injured, and don't make my coaching tape look great. All right. But this is what I want. There's the upward thrust. Okay. As I make contact, my My back is my ass is behind me. My back is flat and away, but I am striking and then trying to bring my belly buttons. But that's the angle in which I want to take. All right, we'll go sorry. All right, here's Cody Crease, and this was a fifth-year senior for me, and you could see how efficient his footwork is. All right, fast first step, get that second step down, and I want to match his feet on my 45-degree angle. Okay, that's the footwork I want. All right, that's our inside zone drive block. We focus on the initial beginning, and I teach it in 3 phases, right? The beginning, the middle, and the end. You guys will see how we practice our fit and finish stuff. All right, but you look at this right tackle. I love the efficiency in his footwork. All right, he's stepping over the towel, working his angle. Second step matches the feet. He is getting lateral distortion. Okay, if he's out there, I want to leave him out there. Some guys teach inside footwork, even though he's off my body. I want to go and keep him out there so I can create lanes on the backside of this run play. All right, so the right tackle, the center, and the left tackle should all be using the same footwork. Center, right tackle are pretty efficient. You can see here the left tackle steps underneath himself, so now his second step crosses over, loses a lot of his power. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for in as far as an inside zone drive block and utilizing the towels. Okay, here we go. This is the right guard. Open the hip, step over the towel, be efficient in your movement skills. Okay, left tackle is a little bit better here, but I could still step over the towel. Right now, I tell him, you are destroying my towel. But there's my lateral displacement. As you can see, this lateral displacement, let this running back ride the wave, ride the wave. All right, and then here's a great look at this, the backside tackle here. We're cutting off the 4i. All right, you can see how much faster he has to go to get leverage. All right, we throw the ball, but it's a great example of stepping over the line, second step, stepping on his near foot, creating leverage. All right, now we're talking about a reach block, okay? So this is all individual blocker. So reach block, our aiming point is the play side armpit, okay? Our first step, we say inside zone's a bucket drive, outside zone's a drop step reach, okay? So now I got to open up a little bit more. It's a 2 to 4 inch step. Align hips for success. The second step is driving to the crotch of the defender. All right, I still emphasize 2-hand strikes on the chest plate. All right, when I'm covered and I don't have leverage on my landmark. All right, and same principle, have a strong inside hand. And then the wider the defender is, the more you must open your hip. The backside, you've got to be able to go faster and flatter. All right. One thing I talk about inside zone, we want lateral displacement. Outside zone, we want even more lateral displacement, okay? We are trying to create vertical and horizontal running lanes for the running back. All right, now we look at the towel drills once again. I tell my guys, move up on the towel. Now, we've done them. I've done long towels and then short towels. I just move up to that second step and step on top of that towel. I prefer towels because I can throw them out of the way real quick and they're less static. Here's a good look at a reach block, working on the angle, getting to the armpit. Now, we can all talk about tighter elbows, things like that, but I've just focused on the beginning portion of this reach block. All right, you can see we're working to the play side armpit. All right, I want to open my hips and take it on my shoulders, right? One thing I learned from Mike Munchak, who I think is one of the best offensive linemen to ever play and coach the game. All right, your shoulders should match the running back's shoulders when you are a covered offensive lineman. All right, but once again, the senior lineman, very efficient in his movement skills, takes his drop step, second step, drives to the crotch of the defender. Landmark is on that armpit. All right, here's a good look at this backside tackle, right? Efficient, okay? Now we could talk about everything else, right? Put your weight on your right foot so you could drive off that, drive the ground away from your body. All those things, I'm not going to get into to everything right now because we're limited for time, but that's what I'm looking for. All right, here we go. This is the right tackle on a reach block. Defender's off his body. I want to go through the cylinder of the man to get to his armpit. All right, but there's the drop step, second step, drive through the crotch, and go. You know what? Create the lateral create lateral running lanes for the running back. That's the B gap that you guys can see. Well, that's hard for that linebacker to fit a big ass B gap, boys, and that's what we want. That's what we try to do in our run game. All right, the center should be doing the same thing here. I tell the centers, don't stay square. Don't stay square until you get leverage on your landmark. We got a man, it's a man play on the backside. That's irrelevant to what we're talking about, but we're actually reading, just so you guys understand, we're reading this linebacker right here on the backside. He plays the motion. We're going to hand the ball off all day. All right, here we go. This is a good look at this left tackle. I get it. We gained 2 yards, but this fundamentally, I would say just give me a little bit more width on that first step, but go run and get to your landmark. We run the outside zone play a lot. I tell my boys it's my favorite 3-letter word. It's RUN. All right, run, 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 and we'll create running lanes and we'll create leverage on the move. All right, but this running back can just stay over here. This is in the red zone inside the 10. Look, it's tough sledding down there. We all know that. All right, here's a right guard here on this reach block, okay? So 76 here. We're reaching. He has no leverage. Taking my drop step, drive that second step to the crotch of the defender, okay? As he moves laterally, I'm going to have that strong inside handsman come into play, which you could see both of them lose their strong inside hand. Running back, he winds all the way back, but there is a running lane right here, okay? Lateral displacement. We wind it back, gain 7, 8, 9 yards. All right, the third progression, okay, what we call a crack of the ass step, all right? This is for when you're a covered lineman. It could be gap schemes. I use the same terminology, same verbiage. If it was a a gap play, if you're the guard, you're deucing. This would be an example of this is the right guard, and I'm working an inside zone single versus a 2-eye or a head-up defender, okay? I'm looking, right? That means our landmark is now to the play side number, okay? I have leverage on my landmark, all right? And my first step, I'm just taking a lateral gather. All I'm trying to do is transfer weight on my right foot so my left foot can go vertical and I can tack my landmark, okay? I am trying to create force on that second step. Well, I don't want to go very far, but if I just lead step at him, I have no power. I have no freaking power. So I take a lateral gather, second step vertical, knock the shit out of that play side number, okay? But this is a right guard on a single on the center in the zone play. That could be a left guard on the backside of a deuce play. All those things don't change. Okay, your hand placement or your stance does. But this is the best film I had of the crack of the ass step. I don't have everything at the house right now, but you can see just transfer weight and drive that second step forward. Okay, and I'll show you guys some examples. All right, but this is when I have leverage. We teach a lot about having leverage. Do you have leverage? Do you not have leverage? All right, we got a lot of odd front team, but here you go. This is the center working a crack of the ass step. This is inside zone or tight zone read to the right, and these two are comboing here. We're fanning on the front side, but I want to see this center move the crack of his ass, not very much, all right? And you can see my center. I'm great with this second step, all right, but I should lose. I should be working towards his play side number. Another clip out. We face a lot of odd as the center. You'll see a lot, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter if he's the right guard, the left guard. It's all the fundamental footwork. Okay, you can see this. I'd like to see him stay thicker on this nose guard, but you gave him a target for the right guard to hit. All right, the next thing we talk about, okay, is the next progression is the lev sled. Okay, so this is you've taken your zone track, your 2 steps to contact. Now I'm trying to bring my belly button, okay? This is the middle portion of the block. I really like the lev sled. This is the only sled, just so you guys know this is the only sled and the only contraption I really use, okay? Because we block people as O-line coaches. This sled, if you guys haven't seen it, it goes in and then it goes up, okay? And you got to drive it in first in order to roll this thing up. But I think it's great, right, for training guys to bring their belly button, okay? So we'll jump over, we'll go from towels to the lev sled, and then we'll come back over and you'll see the fit and finish drill. But I like this. And it's hard because it's a static square sled. So I just talk about just the lead step, stay head up on it, and I'm really focusing on bringing the hips. You can see the far guy has his hips totally underneath him. Right guard, bring your hips a little bit more. okay? And I think it's a great training tool. And if you don't hit the freaking sled, it's not going to work. It's probably going to hit you. All right, so that's our left sled. The next thing is we come right over and we do a drill called fit and finish, okay? It's our fit and finish drill. So this is you've taken your zone tracks, you've brought your belly button, and all of a sudden you hit the stalemate. I don't care what level you guys are at, high school, college, the NFL. At some point in a zone blocking or a gap scheme blocking, you're going to hit a stalemate. Well, I truly believe the first guy to run his feet and roll his hips is going to win the block. Okay, we want to suffocate our hips. Some guys talk about rolling their hips first, then bringing in their feet. I say run your feet, then bring your hips, okay? So what we do is we come over and we have a fit and finish drill, okay? I call it a 2-whistle drill. I'm working the zone track, and I'm looking for 3 to 4 steps. I'll let it play, and then now we're going to run our feet afterwards, okay? So what I say is set, go, and now we're going to run our feet and roll our hips. Once again, don't watch the green jerseys, okay? But that is after a stalemate. All right, here you go. This is a great example of this. Left guard makes contact, okay? My ass is behind me. I made contact. Now run your feet, roll your hips, suffocate, take away the distance between you and the defender. You and the defender. The right guard does a great job here. All right, and you can see this right tackle, his hips are behind him, so now the defender is able to shed. But that's what I'm looking for. You can see by the left guard and the right guard in this picture. All right, come down the finish portion of it, okay? So this right guard, just so you guys can see the fundamentals, he's taking a crack at the ass step. This is a B block on the backside of inside zone. The quarterback keeps it, that doesn't matter. But just watch the finish and the tenacity and the freaking mindset that whips someone's ass. I love it. All right, then here we go. One more look. This is a great view coming to, we're working a combination here with the center and left guard. When this left guard makes contact, watch his hips roll underneath him, brings the belly button. Okay. I like to see guys finish in an upright position as long as they're engaged with the blocker. I think that's a great example. I don't care we gain 2 yards. We're talking about the individual player. And then down here on the red zone, okay, watch it from the sideline. Watch the right guard. We're going to cut off a 2-aught. He brings his hips, his ass is behind him when he makes contact, rolls his hips, and is able to create a running lane for the running back. All right. Now we go to the individual blocks still. I'm focused on individual blocks from a technique standpoint, okay? So we call these combos, right? 2-to-1, okay? This is how we verbalize it. It's 2-to-1. 2-hand strike on the first level defender, transition to 1-hand, transition to the linebacker, okay? And if you don't work on your transitioning from first level to second level, guys struggle coming to balance. The first clip you'll see is my right guard. He struggles coming to balance, and he's not able to make that transition, okay? So this would be any type of player covered on the backside. It could be a right tackle, a right guard, a center, a left guard, left tackle. It doesn't matter. But that first level, I want to engage, roll my hips. Now I'm transitioning to the second level, okay? At some point when my hips come through, when I get to the second level, I got to re-drop my hips. I got to lower my center of mass to come to balance and then also create power, okay? So we call this a 2-to-1 combination. All right, here you go. This is the right guard here. He's working the same technique, okay? Crack of the ass step, second step, get vertical, knock the play side number. And you can see, let's watch it from the sideline. It's a better view of it. He never comes to balance, and he's never able to control that linebacker. Okay, so you got to be able to come to balance on the second level defenders. All right, here we go. Here's the center. Obviously engage, working a combination block with the backside. He engages, rolls his hips, now comes back to balance and is able to have power and able to play with his feet underneath him, excuse me. All right, now it just happened quicker. It happens quicker. Everything can happen at different times. Okay, we train the speed of it, but you can see this left guard, he collisions the backside shade, has to come off very quickly, but at the same time, that transition is still the same. I still got to drop my hips and lower my center of mass. All right, last one with the center again. Like I said, we facing a lot of odd front teams. Okay, but if you just ask me what I wanted my inside zone to look like, I want to see that. I want to see guys getting their ass knocked off the ball on angles. And you know what? We gained 3-4 yards. That's okay, because those are going to open up big running lanes later on in the game. All right, the last one, we go to outside zone, okay? We say it is a 1-to-none combo. You can still use 2-to-1. That doesn't matter, but we say it's 1-to-none so that the younger linemen in the program can understand I have to go. If you ever seen the Heisman pose, okay, that's the what we're trying to show. All right, helps linemen transition once again from the first level combination to the second level. Okay, here's watch this defender right here. Stab. I'm still trying to open my hips. I'm still focused on that tie, okay? And this is outside zone. And a lot of times if I don't have leverage, I better stab and go. 1-to-none. 1-to-none. And then come back to balance. Okay, it goes right into, if we watch, here we go. Here's a great example. We're running the outside zone play. All right, I'm going 1-to-none as this left tackle on the 4-eye, and I'm really going 2-to-1 because I have leverage on my landmark and I have leverage on the backside linebacker who we're working to. All right, 1 by the left tackle to none. I'm giving presence. I'm giving pressure on this 4-eye, but I still have my responsibility to get to the second level, okay? The center, I'm going 2-to-1 because I have leverage. And we're creating landmarks. Backside right tackles working the towel drill, cutting off this 4-eye. All right, this is a fun game for us. Obviously, fourth quarter, you guys O-line coaches know how it is. Fourth quarter, right, we're on a 4-minute drive to win the game. And it was awesome. Coach Mazzoni, our offense coordinator, on the headset asked me to call the plays. And we ran this play 4 times in a row, kept getting first downs. And then we were able to control the clock and ultimately win the game. But this is what outside zone, this is what I want our angles. That's what I want the line of scrimmage to look like. All right, literally same play, same technique, left tackle, 1-to-none, has to go quicker based on the linebacker's landmark. The center here, he went 2-to-1. The nose guard stayed with him. Well, I stayed on the nose guard, okay? Those are just working off of our base techniques and understanding the schemes. All right, so look, guys, this was I'm going to switch it around. All right, a little quick, but I wanted just to talk about our dry block, reach block, and our crack of the ass step, okay? I think it's very important for all of you guys, right? You may have listened to something I said and thought, you know what, that's not very good, or you know what, I can utilize that. Think about your crack, your portfolio, and what you preach as an O-line coach. And you may take something from here. You may take something from coach here in a second and pass pro. But don't just throw it to the side. Think about it, right? Howard Mudd, who is a major influence on my life as a player and a coach. And if you guys don't know who he is, you need to get on the Google machine and look up his resume, okay? But he always said if he disagreed with a coach, he never just threw it to the side. It always made him think about it, use some critical thinking, and say, you know what, it doesn't fit in what we do as an offense, or it does, but I don't like this. I've taken a lot of things and kind of altered it. One thing I learned at the Cool Clinic 2 years ago, Dan Rochar talked about, I'd never forget it, changed my view. Talked about getting his first step down, all right, and so my second step can get down quicker. And I thought that was brilliant. The way I do my individual drills, okay, this comes from Brett Ingles, who's the O-line coach in the Saints when I was there, Tom Cable, who's in Oakland or now Las Vegas. We practice our individual drills extremely fast because I create muscle memory. We don't walk through a lot of things. And I never had done that before until I got with Brett Ingles and the Saints. And I took that and I brought it to my core beliefs. So those are the 2 things I want to pass on to you guys. Coach, I just want to give you say thank you. I think this is great. Me passing along a couple things. I hope you guys don't think I was too crappy out there today. All right, so I appreciate it. I'll let Coach get on there. Y'all got me on Twitter. You got any questions, let me know. I will say it's going to be a little hard to share film at this time, just the way we use our network at Arizona. But as I get back in the office, I can share whatever you guys need. Appreciate it.
Beautiful. Appreciate you, Coach Devan. We're gonna open it up. Coach, you can unmute. We're gonna open it up to a couple Couple questions, a couple run game questions. I know we got a couple guys they've been chatting me. They had some run game questions. One coach from Coach Fletcher, he says their head coach wants them to step forward instead of the bucket step on outside zone. What's the best argument that he can use to convince them to bucket on outside zone? Hold on, you muted, Kyle.
I'm mute now. All right, we good?
All right.
We got me on there?
Yeah.
Okay, look, I've had this discussion and I've listened to Coach's Clinic on it and talk about the lead step and talk about that. But when they put the game film on, I promise you I've seen a lot of really well-known coaches. The lead step, in my opinion, does not convert to play because if you lead step, you can never get to your landmark if you don't have leverage on it. So if the guy is off your body and you're reaching him, it's really hard to hit that landmark. Tell your coach you don't have to take the big drop step, but you do have to lose a little bit of ground. And once again, it goes back to that 1 to 2 to 3, 4 inch step so I can open my hips. And it's really all about getting the second step through. And that's really, and I didn't talk about it that much on there, but opening that hip is allowing your second step to come through to get to your landmark. Because if you don't, on a reach block, this is my opinion, if you don't open your hip slightly, that second step struggles getting to the crotch of the defender. So that's my 2 cents, man. I think it's hard to lead step, but I think you can shorten that first step is what I've really come to learn in the last couple of years.
Yeah, then I agree as well. Just when you step forward, you know that second step you're gonna shorten it, so you're gonna kill your base. So how much power are you really gonna be able to come with on the sides of your lineman? So that's definitely the lose a little ground, the gain a little ground. I know I've been watching a little bit of that Coach Strollo video, the root technique. You know, I like that a little bit, especially for the center position, because it's really about, you know, on outside zone going lateral so I can work vertical, so I can work to the reach. Next question we got from Coach Moffin. What's the best RPO or power or counter?
I'm sorry, the best RPO to run with power or counter?
Yep, with power or counter.
You know, I think if you're running power, okay, I think you can run any second or third level read. All right. So my point being is you can protect the backside pretty easily, in my opinion. So you can throw doubles. If you got 2 skill out there, you can throw double slants. If you got 3 skill, say you got a nub side tight end, 3 skill, like a one I like to start with, nub side tight end, 3 skill to the field. Number 3 either runs a hitch route to attack that void in quarters coverage, or runs a seam route with number 2 running a slant and still attacking almost right over the middle of the field. I think you could protect that very well, in my experience. And when you throw number 3 vertical, that Mike linebacker, who's that the defender that might have to relate to 3 in coverage, he sees 3 go vertical, his eyes are going to get influenced by it. If you're facing man coverage teams, you better start throwing some double slants or vertical with a slant behind it and try to get a pick route. But power, I believe, is pretty easy to protect. Counter, one thing I think in counter, you have more run-throughs, I guess is the right word to say. I think it's harder to throw a third-level RPO with a counter-esque play because you get just more moving pieces. So I love a good bubble, a swing screen. You can throw a second level of void concept RPO, but if you start throwing the ball down the field, I think if the quarterback holds on to it a little too long, man, you're creating a lot of voids or a lot of run-through lanes for the defense. So that's kind of what I believe in a nutshell.
Perfect. It said, do your running backs have read keys on inside zone, outside zone, and on your 2-to-1 blocks, do you want your linemen to keep their outside hand free as they climb to the LB, or do you care?
No, I think those are great questions. I didn't talk about the running back play, but if you're inside zone, okay, what we say, we are kind of, if you watched last year, our running backs got a little bit too much on the front side A gap. Okay. So what we are saying now is our aiming point for the running back is butt crack of the center. Okay. So when I hit the mesh point, I'm square to the center. Okay. And now I'm going to read the closest defender to the center. Okay. So if it's a zero nose guard, you're reading the zero nose guard. Okay. If you're a 2-eye on the front side, that's your initial read. If it's a 2-eye on the back side, that's your initial read. Okay. One thing, once again, I thought Dan Roshar said it really well, is I talk about as an O-line coach, the running back coach and I, we kind of go back and forth, but I think there's an initial read and then a secondary read. Okay. So what that means is if you are running inside zone or tight zone into 3-4 odd spacing, okay, your initial read is that zero nose guard on the center. Your secondary read is the backside 4-eye. So my point being, if that zero nose guard stays head up to the center or play side, the ball is winding back. Okay, so right now I'm going my eyes to the zero. He stays front side. Now my eyes have to go to the 4-eye to figure out, am I running in the A gap, the B gap, or am I kind of winding it back more? So that's what we say is I say it all the time. Who's your primary read? Who's your secondary read? Okay. And then on outside zone is we read the first defense alignment outside in. So if it's an odd spacing team, we read the 4-eye. Okay. If it's a 4-down spacing team, we're going to read the defensive end or the 5 technique or 6, whatever you want to call it. But and our aiming point on outside zone, if it is in pistol or under center, is the butt crack of the tight end. If it is in gun, it's the outside leg of the tackle. Okay, these are what you would, if you understand the history of outside zone play, really there's 2 philosophies. There's a slash game, which is the butt crack of the tight end, or it's a stretch, which is usually a yard outside the tight end. I worked for Sean Payton, and I learned the slash game, and I really love it for a lot of reasons. So I'm a little bit tighter than maybe some of you guys are thinking of. When I say outside zone, you guys are thinking, no, that's mid zone. Well, to me, that's outside zone. Okay, that ball goes outside if the read key tells you to go outside. So those are our aiming points. We don't run a lot of inside zone from under center. I mean, that's just who we are. And then what was the last part of the question?
Hang on. Last part of the question was, do you care about on the combo?
Oh, the combination.
Outside arm. Yeah.
So I believe this. If you say you're a guard and you have you're a left guard, you have a 3 technique, okay, and you're working a backside combination. I think that's what we're talking about. We are going, as long as that second level player, the linebacker, is on my body to backside. I don't care where he's at on my body. As long as he's covering my body backside, we're going to use a 2-hand strike on the down lineman, okay? If that linebacker aligns inside of my alignment in the A gap, for example, we are going to make what we say a quick call. And what that means, that goes 1 to none. So now my inside arm is free, okay? My arm away from the down lineman, okay? So that way you don't get grabbed, okay? But as long as he's on my body, we are going to try to take the first level defender to the second level defender. So,
of course, yeah. I think that the biggest coaching point is for your guys to not rush. You know, we train.
Yes.
When we do the 2-on-1 combos, we train both guys' eyes. So our body and hands are within the structure of the defensive lineman. Both guys' eyes is on the second level based on who's coming back, who's going.
Yes.
So, you know, that's how we vary it. But we're taking care of that first level. That's the main thing. We'll go one more. Then we'll have some time at the end too for more questions before we finish up, fellas. We'll go one more. It says, how do you break down your practice? Do you set a specific day for pass pro, or do you do a little bit of everything each day?
Once again, guys, these are awesome questions. The way I've done it is I try to incorporate run game and pass pro each day. Okay. Now, in the beginning portion of practice, and this is just kind of natural instincts, for whatever reason, I do run game first. So look, Coach Sumlin, we're not on the field very long, all right, because we want these guys to be at optimal. I want their bodies to be at optimal performance. So we do not go on the field very long. So I'll usually have to start the practice 15 minutes of individual, maybe 20. Okay. Now I get to cheat it because I get special teams off. So typical training camp day, I'm looking at 30 minutes individual. I'll devote 15 to 20 minutes in the run game early in practice. And then when I'll have a break for 10 or 15 or sometimes 12 minutes in the middle of practice, and I'll use pass for legs because we still have to go to a team rep. I've seen guys go run pass and intersect them. I just felt like transition time is takes a little bit to set up a pass pro drill or get the guys focused. So that's what I've done. If I'm going run, I'm staying run.
Yeah, no, of course. I think with me, it just depends on the day. I love teaching things in phases and trying not to overload our guys so we don't overlook small details. So on a on an average day, let's say a Tuesday, I'm going against a big time pass rusher, especially on the edge. You know, I'm worried about him. I done watched him on film enough to know what he likes to do. He likes to speed rush, so I'll cater it towards, you know, what we're face that weekend. But if we're going spring ball, we're going fundamentals, I teach it in phases. You know, I start with the set, which I'll go through in a little bit. Got a PowerPoint deal for you guys that I'll share with you at the end as well as all the coaches who have access to Huddle. You know, I can send you the drills, my pass protection drills directly, you know, as we get a chance to go through them and everything. But me personally, I break it down into the set, the strike, and then the finish. You know, really the whole ordeal is all the little details is in between that. But if I go a normal day, I work guard sets, tackle sets, and then the center, which is my favorite position. It was a position that I played, and that's I played all five throughout my career, but that's my favorite spot. And you know, that's just as far as the progression that we go through with practice. We just break everything down in phases, and everything correlates. So if I'm working sets, then I'm working set strike. I try to keep it every day. The biggest thing with pass pro with me is hand-feet harmony. You know, getting guys coordinated, making sure they're, you know, some guys they can't tie their shoe. You know, they says, you know, they just not, you know what I'm saying? They can't put two things together. So you sort of work them up slow, and then you build on top of it, build on top of it, build on top of it. But no, those.
And I want to hit on that again. You know, and during spring ball and training camp, we'll go basically 2-on-2. You know, we'll start with individual blocks, like I went through there. Then we'll go 2-on-2. Okay, so that's the 2-to-1 combo or the 1-to-none combo, and add in the adjacent offensive lineman. Okay, and then we'll add in a third guy and kind of go 3-on-3 pods. What we call it. As soon as it gets to the season, it all is predicated on the defense we're playing. Like, for example, if we're playing a fire zone team, I'm going to work on all five guys up and kind of working on the lateral movement and understanding how you relate to it. If you're playing a 4-2 over G team and they just want to line up and whip your ass, well, you better work on the individual combinations, okay? So each week we kind of focus on that. And just like Coach said, if I'm facing a dominant pass rush team, I'm going to focus a little bit more on pass rush because we got to protect the quarterback. So, no, those are great points. I just kind of want to add on to it.
Beautiful. Again, guys, we're gonna have some more time to answer some questions at the end here, and you know, just to get everything done for you. But just a little bit more about me, Arthur Ray. You know, I go by Coach. Just try to bring a little swag to the O-line room, man. Y'all know us. We don't get a lot of notoriety, but you know, try to keep it fun for my guys, man. I'm from Chicago, Illinois. I went to Michigan State, played for Coach D and good old Danny Rochar, O-line coach for the Saints. And, you know, I'm a true technician. You know, I finished up my career in Colorado. I was diagnosed with bone cancer at the age of 17. So I was out of football for 4 years. You know, I spent 2 years on crutches, and I did a lot of watching. And a lot of different things that I had to do just to get back and rehab and different things like that. Finished my career in Division II, played in the RMAC at Fort Lewis College in the middle of the mountains, you know, man, and finished my career out there. And then I got a shot with the Dolphins, spent a year down there in Miami, and learned a lot of things that ultimately got me into the coaching profession and doing what I love. But let's get right to it. I got the pass pro portion of it. Everybody let me know when you can see my screen. We all good? Everybody good? We can see the screen? Okay, perfect. Beautiful. Just getting right to it, man. Pass pro principles from start to finish, pass blocking. We got 5 points, guys. We go over 5 points. We start with the stance, then we go with the set. I teach the drive catch or the kick catch, whatever you want to call it. I know some guys, are the Charles Bentley guys and different things like that. I teach variations of a lot of different coaches that I got different things from. I'm a huge guy on posture and body control. A lot of times when you get the big linemen, they just don't, especially the guys that are younger, they just don't know how to carry their weight, and then sometimes when you get a young guy who's growing, them being coordinated and understanding having core strength, that's a huge deal. The next part of the phase is the punch, which I teach a lot of different strikes. I teach independent hands and different things. My biggest thing on the punch is targets, fellas. I talk about targets, and I speak a lot on eyes, because I think eyes is the most undertrained thing for offensive linemen when it comes to striking, especially in pass pro, just training their eyes and allowing guys to make sure that they are seeing what they hit. Let's get right to it. Start with the stance and set. Stance, of course, we want to be balanced. We want to be similar to run, so we don't give off any keys. Obviously, passing situation, we're to sit with good posture. And I'm a big guy on having that full foot on the ground, that back foot. I don't want my tackles to have that toe up, because when you have your toe up, as soon as I set, my weight rolls backwards. That's when you see the 200-pound nickel guy bull rushing your 315-pound tackle, and he can't stop himself just because of momentum. So I like to have that back foot fully on the ground, even if they got to point it out a little bit, as long as their hips and they can maintain keeping their shoulders square. The set, most important phase of pass pro. I teach my guys to set with urgency. We can't get lazy in our set. That's one drill I teach. Probably the biggest thing that I've been talking to my guys about since we've all been quarantined is just working their sets. That's something they can do at home, anywhere. Grab a small weight and different things like that. I just getting out of your stance as fast as possible to get us in the best position to win. No wasted motion. No wasted motion. Some guys they twerk their shoulders and they do different things that get them out of whack, out of bad body positioning. So we work just being straight down, and then we carry high hands. I carry our hands high. That's a huge thing, especially because the D linemen are taught. We don't want to give them too much surface to grab and to work their hand fighting techniques. They got to punch through our hands. That's a huge coaching point for me, especially for my inside guys. Now, this is where I differ from a lot of people. In guards, I'm 60-40 ratio with my guards. I want us to protect our inside, and I'm a little bit more on that whole ordeal because where's our QB? QB's right inside the guard. So I want to protect that with everything. I want to go 60-40 ratio. Of course, with the set, I'm gonna be 3/4, which I'll go over here shortly. With my tackles, I'm 50-50. And the reason why I'm 50-50 is because when you lean inside on that inside leg as tackle, once you get to that second and third kick, you begin to open and your hips begin to open. Now you give yourself, you're open for a two-way go, and you make that outside shoulder weak, which is what I'm going to talk about later as well. As soon as a defensive lineman, what's the favorite move nowadays anyway? The long arm, right? So as soon as that long arm hits that outside shoulder, that's when you see a lot of tackles turn. They're carrying a lot of weight on their inside. They're leaning farther into the inside than they should. So I like to tell my guys to be 50-50 so we can transition versus any speed rush moves up the field as well as the power moves, especially the most favorite, the long arm nowadays. %80 of losses on pass protection are caused by poor O-line technique, not what the D-line is doing to you guys. I think that's a crucial point that I share with my guys because it makes we take ownership on the pass pro. So a guy doesn't beat you. What did you do to allow yourself to get beat? When I coach that way, I allow my guys to train themselves. That way, when they come off the field, before I throw my damn hat and my clipboard, I'm like, what happened? What happened? And they're like, oh, coach, I was leaning too far inside. I missed with my hands, coach. I didn't squeeze my core. I didn't drop my anchor. now they can begin to coach themselves. And when they watch film, they can start correcting themselves. That's how we build better players to make our jobs easier as coaches. Moving along to the center. I know a lot of people, you know, they train their center to stay parallel and have their feet forward. Fellas, in playing center with this guy that you see on the screen right here, I learned a lot of little nuances. One of the biggest deals with Pounce was he kept both his feet out wide, kept his feet slanted out. Now, you know, once I start doing that, that allows you to move laterally a lot quicker than keeping your toes pointed forward. And once you ask your guys, if you try this with your centers, or you guys can try this at home, when you at center and it's more of a squat and you put the ball like right above your face mask so you're not reaching for it because you're putting yourself in bad body position, depending on what type of offense you run. I mean, unless you run in the good old school veer option offense that I came from in high school, you know, the center needs to be pretty balanced, especially with the zone schemes and so he can get back on pass protection. Ability to snap and step simultaneously will buy us much needed time. This is a key point that I especially see. This is what separates elite centers from the good ones. The guys who can snap and step simultaneously, especially at the high school level. You'll turn a guy who might be average. If he can do that, he buys himself that extra second, especially because the D linemen are taught to get off on the ball. So if you have a center that can snap and step and get himself in a great body position, as well as get the rock back there on time, that's going to be crucial. That is key. That is a drill. I work a drill where I have our center, they got the ball in their hand and they don't let it go, but they work their footwork. So they work zone step footwork, and I'll demonstrate that for you guys in a little bit. We want to create depth and utilize our offhand. I'm a huge component on offhand utilization, and for my centers, it's going to help you. It's going to buy you that time, especially when you got that 300+ pound nose guard breathing down your neck. As soon as the ball snap, you know what he's going to do. He's trying to run right through you, get right to the bull rush, right upfield. So you need to buy some time. And the biggest thing with the center is creating depth, creating a little space. So that way now I can set, now I got time to get my punch exactly where I want to get it to. And that's a huge coaching points that we got from our centers. Ability to ID and then anchor. 9 times out of 10, the inside guys are getting what? They're getting power moves, right? So we got to be able to see what's coming in front of us. With our offense, my center IDs the mic every play, so that's why I like him in that stance. And then he's able to set and see everything that's coming in front of him. Moving on to guard, that's a good picture of Kyle Long. You see, he got his full foot in the ground. His right toe is slowly pointed out. That's a good pass pro posture picture right there. When we set at guard, we're 3/4. So I'm not exactly head up. I'm slightly inside. I'm slightly inside on my guy. I want to protect the inside with everything, but I don't want to go half like I would do at tackle, because what are most D lineman coaches teaching? Rush the upfield shoulder so they can counter back inside. So I want to kill that right away. And that goes along with this next point. When I strike with my outside arm, it's to his outside pec or top of the shoulder pad, violently and under control. This way, I destroy that upfield rush, and where does he have to counter? He either has to counter through me or to the inside. And that goes into my first coaching point about we want to dictate the pass rush, regardless of where we at on the offensive line. We want to dictate what pass rush the guys are going to give us, and we don't want them to, have a move in their head and feel like they're going to control this game. Inside hand target is the most important. Why? Because that's protecting everything. Our main guy, our quarterback, back in there. So we want our inside hand placement. It's onto the inside pec, right underneath, and that way I can catch and carry, as well as have a strong post foot to carry him down the line. That's a huge coaching point from our guards. And that way you tell your guys to not get too far outside and not go head up. So now you give yourself a two-way go. Now, again, when you're teaching 3/4, you still want to maintain an inside-out relationship, but the main coaching point on that is stopping the upfield charge. So we make sure that so those guys don't set us up for any counters, and then we know the stab back to the inside technique, as well as when the guys do the hand fighting. what we want to do, we want to force a guy inside or force him to bull. So if I'm at a guard and I know based on my set, the two moves the D lineman has to do because I'm going to destroy one, now I can be more confident in what I'm doing, right? Now, the only thing I got to teach is teach my guys how to anchor on the bull. Now, I teach the anchor when it comes to the bull rush. Some coaches teach the hop technique. I wasn't a big fan of that when I played guard. So I more teach the anchor. The anchor is more of I want to drop my hips underneath, and I want to push the defender's weight in an upward motion because he's got his force driving through me. I drop my hips, and I want to push his weight in the upward motion, which is going to cause a stalemate, right? Now, some guys, we got to practice that, and we practice that in 3 phases. Most guys get beat by the bull rush in 3 phases. They get beat by that initial shock that they never recover from, or they get beat when they can absorb the initial shock, and now the D lineman's pressing, right? He's pressing on them. He's running his feet. He's driving. And then the final phase with the finishing. So, that's when I train for the bull rush, I train our guys on that initial shock, that initial bump. And that's the D lineman. He's sprinting off the ball, hits you right in the mouth. He's ready to play right then and there. So I teach them how to anchor, re-anchor, lower our hands, and extend, push the weight up. Moving on to our tackles. One of my favorites, Tyron Smith. This is we watch him a lot, especially our guys. I watch a lot of NFL tape with them just so they can know that the techniques and things we doing are definitely going to carry over. For the tackle, we're going to stay half man. But looking at, just to go back a little bit at Tyron's stance, when you see his stance, they see that toe is out, full foot's on the ground. That way he can absorb any type of pop. If he gets a bull rush now, he's in position to absorb. That's what I was talking about. I want that full foot on the ground, especially that back foot. I don't want guys on their toes. Because you'll see once you have a guy on his toe, when he gets any power through him, he's gonna roll back and not be able to stop his own momentum. Right? So based on the set, we want to be half man. I want to split the defender down the middle with my knee, and we want to dictate the rush. Right? I want to give the illusion that the defender has the upfield and he can rush my edge. I want to have square shoulders through at least 3 kicks. I want to be square through at least 3 kicks. 9 times out of 10, it's that 3 kick mark that the D lineman decides what move he wants to do or if he's going to bend back to the quarterback based on the spot. And that angle changes based on his alignment, based on the defender's alignment. I want to minimize my surface area by keeping my shoulder tucked. You see in this picture with Tyron, shoulder is tucked. When you set, this is what most taller tackles have an issue with. They set and that outside shoulder is high. When that outside shoulder is high, that is a target area for a D lineman, especially with the stab and with the long arm. That is what D line coaches tell their guys to look at and key. So when you tuck that shoulder, the person who does this the best probably is Joe Thomas. He tucks his shoulder pre-snap, and I set straight back, which keeps my shoulder low. Now I minimize surface area. So now the defender has to punch through my hands instead of getting a hand right there at the top of my shoulder pad, which is going to naturally turn me and then give him a 2-way go. Again, like we want to make them run the hoop. Stay inside out and no 2-way go. Make them guys run the edge because we can always, if we got a guy that's a real speedy guy, if I took a good set and got a good angle, I can always hit that hip and run them by. That's what we basing on, and that's how you change it up based on the athleticism of the tackles that you have. We control the width of the pocket, stay 50-50, and do not lean inside because like I mentioned earlier, that's when you shorten the edge. You shorten the edge because you start turning on that third kick when you put too much weight on that inside foot, that tackle. You want to make sure the guys are staying 50-50. The different sets that we have for the tackle, I teach a couple different ones based on the athleticism of the guy that I got at that spot and based on the scheme that we're going to run. We go vertical, we go 45, we go vertical to 45 and jump. All about where the defender is aligned. And I have a drill that I do. This is an everyday drill for me in terms of pass pro. And the name of that drill is Rush ID. And I literally just line up. I tell all the offensive linemen to get a partner, and the other guys on the other side line up at a different spot. They line up head up in the set changes, line up in the tight 5, line up in the loose 5, line up very wide. The set changes, the angle changes, but you get your guys used to where they're supposed to be and maintaining the proper technique that you want them to maintain. Posture, moving on to posture and body control, 2 huge things for me. And that's why, you're going to be able to see later, I utilize the med ball a lot in terms of my drill work. Posture is crucial to pass pro success. We'll maintain posting to kick foot relationship. We want to have bend in our knees and ankles. Bend in our knees and ankles, fellas. Ankle flexion is huge for O linemen. You know, your young O linemen that have aspirations and dreams to play at the next level, make sure they are working on their flexibility. If there was anything I could go back in time and tell myself, that would be the #1 thing, work on my flexibility. The post toe is always pointed upfield, just that post foot toe. We want it always upfield so we can protect our inside half. Back should be perpendicular to the ground. Shoulders should be back, chest out. I want to puff my chest out. That's going to keep me in a good sit back position. And then with my chest is out, I have no reason to lean. Right? Most guys when they sit, when they bend a lot, they got their chest over their toes. I want to have my chest out, so I sit down and have that nice squat seated position. Chin tucked and head high with high hands, as always. Always want our hands high. We want to show the guys our hands with our thumbs up. Show them our palms. The big coaching point is our upper body is stabilized and under control. Not a lot of movement upper body wise. We want to be statues upper body. That's what I tell my guys all the time. I don't want to move at all. My feet are what's doing all the work. We block with our feet. Moving on to the punch. We want to be violent. I teach violence on both run and pass pro, but especially pass pro. When I think about it, pass pro, true definition of controlled aggression. You know, some coaches switch it up. They like to teach pass pro a little bit more passively. I do not. It's just a little bit more controlled. That's the word I use. Instead of passive, I use control. Violent strike, but under control at all time. And the biggest coaching point about that is about punch timing. And knowing when a guy's in my strike radius so I can let him go. I train my guys similar to boxers when it comes to that, especially when we do it striking. Like I mentioned earlier, I believe the eyes are the most undertrained concept with linemen and striking. So I emphasize targets and seeing what they hit. I even use boxing mitts. I use boxing mitts, especially when I'm working with my tackles. And I flash one, then I flash my inside, then I flash both just to train their eyes. And then that's a great drill because it's a small target and you can see that guys aren't seeing what they're hitting or they are. You train them on that, and you train them on see a spot, hit a spot. One biggest thing I talk about, don't attempt to overpunch. You're not trying to kill the guy. Stay within your reach capacity. Stay within your reach capacity. So one of the main things I do before we start our strike drills is I have our guys get in our posture position and they extend their arms in front of them. And then I have the defender walk to that mark, and then I have him walk backwards. And then that lets the guys know that is my strike radius. That's where I need to stay within so I don't overlean or I start lunging for my punches. When you think about the punt, I think about it like a boxer's jab. Not meant to knock you out, but just to stun and redirect. It's a boxer's jab. It's quick, but it's on a straight line, and it's meant to stunt and redirect. Our hands are our levers. We win with our feet. Tie it all together, hand-feet harmony. Like I talked about earlier, that's one coaching point that I preach and I teach every day. Hand-feet harmony. Our hands are our levers. Beautiful. Now I'm gonna attempt to open up some drills, fellas. for you guys. It was a little choppy when I was sharing it earlier, but I'm gonna try to do what I can. If it's a little choppy, like I said earlier, all the coaches who have huddle, I'm gonna send you guys the links to that. I'll share that as soon as we finish. My pass pro drills out. All right, perfect. We all good? Everybody can see the screen? Perfect. Okay. So now this is a med ball strike drill. You know, we work this. I'm teaching thumbs up, and then again we talk about that reach capacity. If it's a little choppy, my apologies. Again, I'm gonna share this film with you guys, especially the coaches who got huddled. Just make sure you drop it in the chat once we finish. Here we go. So coaching points. We striking thumbs up. Thumbs up. Don't want to lean. Don't want to lean. Once I get extension right there, that's a good look. You see his shoulders are back. He's not overextending. He's not lunging, anything like that. This guy right here, you see him? He's leaning a little bit, right? And you see where his hands are? That's a guy who's over punching. That's a good coaching point when I teach that and when I go through this drill. Just going through and making sure guys are sitting back on their heels as you get them off their feet for a little bit and you focus in. This is when I talked about teaching in phases. You focus in on the punch only. That's a good deal right there. After that, I normally move to posture. We go to our posture set, right? Now, you see these guys, and this is going to tell you who's flexible and who's not. You see this guy right here? Got his shoulders over his knee, can't really sit back too much. He's a little high, but he's sitting back, got his chest out how you would want it. I put the med ball in the middle and allow them, everybody's setting to the left right now. I got my outside hand, my hand that's not my set hand. I got that up ready to strike, right? The med ball's down, gonna keep me in good posture. And they just follow me. And the biggest coaching points is to see on the push, on the drive catch, is they're pushing off that post toe. They're pushing off this foot toe and they're catching back here. Their weight's not rocking. I don't want guys to rock. When you rock your weight, that's when you get off balance, and that's what we talked about with body posture and body control. And the biggest thing that helps with that, fellas, is core strength. If the guys don't have strong core, they're going to struggle with just keeping their weight inside out and within themselves. So we transition to that, start off with the ball on the ground. It's just another group. Then we pick the ball up, right? So now we work the posture. We pick the med ball up, and we get ready to go through the whole ordeal in terms of that again. It's the same thing with the set, but now I'm straining them now because now the med ball, they got to carry it, and then they still got to carry good posture with good technique, hands up. The key to this is you make them transition left, right, then you force them to stop. And now what am I training with that? I like to do all of my drills to train in-game activity. Once you, as an offensive lineman, once I set correctly and I stop a defensive lineman's initial move, what's his counter? The bull rush. So I got to be able to stop, counter, anchor, stop, counter, anchor, set, stop, counter, anchor, set, stop, counter, anchor. Because the bull rush is going to come, especially if I stop his initial move. So we train our guys with this. I have them move left, right, stop. Now they got to squeeze it. Then I go over there and aid them, give a little pressure. Now you see where a guy's leaning. Is he leaning? Is he squeezing his core properly? What side of him is weak? Which one is strong? So that's what you see me doing there. Nice. After we go through that, this is what I talked about earlier with the centers. With my center working that offhand drill, right? So this is our set punch drill going through with our centers. So I got a defender working that offhand, so I'm going to use it. And I'm going to create depth as well. So if you watch the coaching point, you're snapping and stepping at the same time. Ball's going, snap, step. He's leaning a little bit more than I want him to, but he's throwing that offhand while maintaining and getting depth. So now I'm creating space so I can get in the position where I really want to get to, instead of having this defender climbing down on me and I'm still stuck right here. So now he's already to my hip and he's already in my body and I haven't even moved yet. This is the drill to train that. He's set, reposition, and you see him trying to anchor. I got the defender rushing him. He worked the offhand. Offhand strike, set, re-anchor. Sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down. Now, because we know what's coming. Quarterback right behind you, he's going to try to bull you as soon as you stop the initial push. This right here is another posture exercise with the drill in terms of I have guys partner up. They got the mid ball up, and a partner is beating down on the mid ball. This simulates hand fighting, right? So when a defender knocks my hands down, I got bad posture, carrying your hands high, and when you strike, not getting knocked off center. This is a big one. We move the mid ball punch timing. The key coaching points on this is to have active feet. And then this is the drill. This is the drill that talks about what I mentioned earlier, the hand-feet harmony. He's not getting outside his frame. He's not reaching. He's waiting till the guy gets to his strike point. His feet are still moving, still maintaining good position. Then here's a good look at rush ID. And the reason why I added this one is you'll be able to see what I talked about. This guy right here, 50, he's one of my tackles, right? So now he's setting straight back. Watch what he does on his third kick. He starts opening, right? So he gets to his third kick. One, two. You see what he's trying to do on the third one? You see him opening up his hips a little bit. And 9 times out of 10, when we watching that on film, that is what I'm talking to him about. Talking to him about staying square and fighting that pressure and staying exactly where he is on the first two, because he start beginning to open right there. And this is when a lot of D linemen hit that outside shoulder, and now which is going to turn him. Now he's open to a move outside or inside right there, because you see him overextend and now his hips are open. He has no power. Going over to the coaches who love the independent hands drill. Right here, when I teach targets for my tackles on independent hands, we strike in that left shoulder. And I teach left shoulder instead of left pec, because if you're going against a guy, a 6'4", 6'5" defensive end, you hit that left pec, he still can snatch you with that same outside arm, right? He can snatch you and get his hand on top of your shoulder pad with that outside arm. When you hit his top shoulder, now you stun him and his reach doesn't matter. So that's the drill that I'm working here with my left tackle. I got the med ball there, working independent hands. He's leaning a little bit too much. Want him to sit back more. and that's for the outside hand. So for my outside hand, my target is outside shoulder. For my inside hand now, I want to stay square, but it's the inside half, that inside number. So now I can collect him, and then that way I want to be inside right there so I don't over punch and turn. You see his shoulders? Still maintain and stay square so that way I can collect if I have any hard inside moves. Perfect. Again, I apologize. The video was a little choppy, guys. If you got huddles, I'll be able to share that stuff with you. You know, I got a lot of good stuff. I can share the PowerPoints with you as well. I'm gonna go to the chat now, myself and Kyle, and we can answer any questions you got. Okay, go on, fellas. Okay. What are good drills to help teach ankle flexion for stances? So a good that I use that my O-line coach who took over after Coach Rochard left, Coach Staten, he talked about it all the time. You grab a band. I grab a band and I wrap it around my foot and I flex it up like that. So that way you see how far I can flex that ankle and I start working past it. And then I had, of course, my cancer was in my leg. I had to work that drill a lot for me to be able to bend properly so I could play again. I had to work that drill a lot. You work the band forwards and you roll the ankle left, down, right, and upward. So then I just work that ankle mobility, that flexibility. That's a good one. You got any, Kyle?
Yeah, I mean, really, that's going to fall into our sports medicine, but I know they do a lot of band flexion with that. Yoga helps. I do think, you know, it's ankle flexion, and then it's hip mobility, and I think they kind of coincide together. So if you're stiff in the hips, you're gonna have stiffness everywhere. So just to work on, you know, just general stretching, I think is good. And kind of working on the mobility is always a plus, especially for the O lineman.
Yep. I said, do you have any mobility work during practice, or is that a weight room or pre-practice deal? During practice, that's more pre-practice. If we on a given day, if the offense, we start walkthroughs at 3:15, I got meetings with the O-line at 2 o'clock. We're normally out of there. I try to get them out of there at 2:45, 2:50, so we can get on the field at 3. Then I stretch with them early, and then we can start going over. I have them just line their helmets up, and we start going over small stuff like that. We work flexibility, work different mobility drills. I know, especially for the run blocking, I got a good mobility drill I learned from Bob Gibson for the gallop. So, you know, we work that a lot.
What we do, we kind of do ours pre-practice. So they'll get on hurdles and they'll you know squat. They'll either step over them or squat under them. We'll get the bands out and do the same type of things and kind of more to loosen up the joints before we truly, because then we have a 10-minute walk. So that's usually about a 5 to 10 minute like mobility circuit. And then we go into center quarterback exchange. I'm working like kind of sets on air with tackles, and we go to a walkthrough. So just to kind of get the hips and the joints warmed up.
They said, Coach, how would you coach kids who never had to get in a non-dominant hand stances? That's a good one.
Hmm.
Non-dominant hand stances. So like not in. Okay, yeah. So it's just teaching them to get in stances on both sides. If they're right-handed, how to get in the left-hand stance. Well, that's a huge key for me. When I coach guys, I teach them both from the beginning. You know, because we play it our left side of the guys, left side of the line, left hand stance, right side of the line, right hand stance. So I teach them. I teach them coaching points on it. I spend time on that. That's like a first day of spring, first practice. That's the first thing we do. And I spend time on it. I don't rush it. You know, I just think that that's just a repetition deal to get them comfortable and create muscle memory.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing. Even when you get to the NFL, you hear guys are
Yeah.
swing tackles. At the end of the day, you're going to be better on one side or the other. And you might be good in both, but one side, for example, this is personal experience. When I was a right guard in the NFL, I was a much better run blocker as a right guard. As a left guard, I was a much better pass blocker. Okay. And it was more because of my right foot was dominant. So when you're in pass protection, my right leg was stronger. So I always kind of felt like I could anchor and move. But I think what we do from a young age here at the university, they train left and right every day. So you don't come in and play left tackle or right tackle. You're gonna play both sides. And I think and I know that can't be said at all levels in high school and things like that. You're limited what you have, but the more you can train both ways, the better understanding the offense they'll have, and then B, the more flexible they'll be, and the better their stances will be over time.
Of course. Yeah, I agree to that 100%. The next question, Coach. For centers, besides using the offhand, what do you coach him to do against a head-up nose bull rush? Does he anchor immediately? So he doesn't anchor immediately. He gets space immediately. So that guy's not on him now. So if I have a head up nose guard right in front of me, right, and I'm at center, the first thing I'm going to do is try to get a little space while throwing that offhand, so he's not all over me right at the snap, right? So I want to create some space. I carry my offhand high even at center. Throwing it. Now I'm anchoring. I got to get an anchor step, because if my parallel trying to stop anybody, my grandmother would bull rush me to the quarterback. You see what I'm saying? So I got to get that anchor step behind me and drop. Now, start the fight. It just happens a lot quicker, a lot faster. That's a big coaching point that I talk to our guys about.
No, I think that's good. If we have the zero nose guard, I know you kind of talked about like hopping and like deflecting the force, right? So
Yep.
What we want to do, and this is the way I teach it, very similar to you, is I'm stabbing with the left hand. And so we're a two-hand strike team.
Yep.
That refits independently. That's conceptually who we are. So what we're going to do as a center, we're going to stab. And then as I stab, I'm trying to refit the right hand and then refit the left hand. And I try to hop. And what I tell my guys is, you are going to stay square to the line of scrimmage until he declares one direction. Once he does that, then you're going to lag behind. So I wouldn't say I get as much space as coach does, but I do need to create some separation between me and him. And that stab will allow me to stop his initial force a little bit, and then I can refit.
Perfect. Yeah, got you guys. I'm gonna get you some copies of that PowerPoint and drill tape. That's no problem. Do you guys work half or full line during pass pro, or just one-on-ones? With us personally, we do one-on-ones, and then when we do games, we're doing stunts and twists, we work half. You know, we'll go half. We'll go man slide. We'll go man side, slide side. When we go game, we're working different twists and stunt techniques with the defensive lineman. But 9 times out of 10 in the beginning, we're just going one-on-ones. We try to do one-on-ones every day, especially on the big emphasis on them is our Tuesday and Wednesday. That Thursday, I like to throw games in there and throw whatever blitzes that we might see for that Saturday.
Yeah, we're the same.
All right. For pass pro, what drills do you do to improve the timing of their sets? The timing, go into depth a little bit more. I think I know what you're trying to ask. You get it, Kyle?
Yeah, well, I think one thing we do, especially the tackle position, I think that's really where timing comes into play the most. And the first thing I teach my guys is understanding. So we talk about like intersecting junction points. Okay, I don't get too much into geometry, but the line between the defender and the quarterback, and we intersect it. So we don't set vertical, we set on angles, whether it's a 45, a 60. We creep, we are aggressive on guys. And so what I try to get them to understand is I am fast to that junction point, that intersecting point, and then I have to settle. And then and then I'm going to stay there until he moves his body off that intersection point. And so that's the biggest thing for me, is getting these guys to know, okay, I got to set fast to this point, and then settle, and then fast again to react to wherever he goes. And I think working on that timing is, we call it a set and settle drill, where the tackle's setting on his angle, and then the defender is rushing, stopping. And then now the tackle, it's a simple drill. The tackle has to stop. Then we rush again, stop. And then the tackle has to stop. And it's just training those eyes, understanding the near point. We talk about, I had to make some calls. So I didn't get to hear everything, but we talk about, like, a tackle, as we say, set to the near point of contact. And because the tackle gets so many different views, from a double number, like a chest view, to a shoulder, to a 45-degree angle. And so I say the near point of contact, and them understand I gotta get there, and then settle, and just keep training those foot patterns and movement skills.
Right. No, I agree. I understand it a little bit more now. But I based the quickness of my set based on how fast the guy is rushing. Because, right, if I tell all my guys to fly out of there, and you get a guy who wants to slow rush back, now my inside's open right now, even if I'm staying. So get to the spot, inside out, then if he starts slowing up, or they start doing their stab technique, or they want a 1-2-3 to get you to lean way, that's when our guys slow down and fit in, and we start to anchor, because we know what's coming. We stay inside out, we know it's going to end up being a bull anyway. So that's how I get my confidence in getting to that spot.
And then one thing I tell my guys is, I prefer to move, and this is just my cues, is I say move fast. And what my guys have to understand is, the tighter he is, the smaller my steps are going to be. Mm-hmm. So, because I think a lot of times, and it kind of depends on the guy you're coaching. Some guys, when they move slow, because the guy's not very far from them, their mind is processing slow and their body's moving slow. So I'm just, hey, move your feet quickly. You just don't have to go very far. So take smaller steps. And that's helped me with my really athletic guys, where they just want to move fast wherever they go. No matter what they're doing, they want to move fast. Right. That's okay. You just can't go far. Move fast, but just don't go far.
No, that's a good point. Yeah, that's a real good point. It's how do you incorporate cross-training, position flexibility throughout the season? Meaning, do you cross-train guards to be able to play center? Oh, yes. I call it I walk into meetings and I say, guys, who's going to be the Swiss Army knife? That guy, he played a lot of reps for us this year. I had a sophomore who hadn't played a lot. He started week 2 and 3 at right tackle, week 4 left guard, week 5 right guard. By week 8, he was the starting center, and now he's my starting center going into next year. So he literally's played all over the line for me. So, guys being able to come in and do that, I try to cross-train them a lot, because and I think Coach Devan can agree with me on this. Most O-line coaches like to travel with 8. We like to travel with
in the NFL.
If we can, I need 5 solid starters. My 6th guy, he's my swing guy, though. He can play that guard. He can play right guard. He can play left guard. He can play center. He's an interior guy. We try to get guys. Those the guys. That's like our 6th man, like a guy who can do it all. If somebody gets hurt on the line, we can shuffle it to him. Different things of that nature.
Yeah, I do it very similar to the NFL. I got 5 starters. And when you're the starter, you're going to play those 5 positions all weeks in practice. Yeah. Then I have a swing tackle. and he's going to take half the reps at right tackle, half the reps at left tackle, and with the second group. I have a swing guard. All right, and then typically my experience is I have a backup center. So I'm looking at 3 guys. There are times where the backup right tackle, because of depth, may be the starting left guard, so he needs to get reps.
Right.
But, in a perfect world, if I had 10 guys and the next guy went in, but that's not really at the call, even at the collegiate level. Your 8th and 9th guy typically you're trying to still develop them. So what happens is the swing guard. So like in practice, we'll have 10 guys with the offense. Okay. Well, when the swing guard, it's all predicated on him. He goes right guard. Well, then that third string guard is playing both guards. So you're getting the other guy's getting training. He's just not going to go in the game as quickly as the other guy is, but you're still getting cross training. And I've had it where my backup, like you said, I've had the 5th or the 6th guy, he'd be the backups for the guards and the tackle position. And I've had it where the 6th guy was back up to all 5 because he was the next guy. He was the next best.
No, I agree. Exactly. I agree. It said, what drills are efficient with the center with his snaps and get-offs? I guess I spoke on that earlier, and I told you guys that I was going to demonstrate, so, I don't like to disappoint. But, yeah, that's spot. Everybody can see me, so if I make the camera so you can see So if I'm at center, we work a drill. This is a pre-practice drill for my center. So they get out there, I'm in a proper stance, I'm here, I'm not snapping the ball, I'm not letting it go, but I'm working snap step frequency. It's only gonna quicken me up, speed me up. I'm working here, there for the zone step, there. Then I work back for my anchor. I'm not snapping the ball though. I'm not snapping the ball. We're working keys to both sides, and we go 4 ways. Then after they do that, they switch it up, and I got a little lev sled, little 1-man lev sled that they using on. Now they're doing the same thing, but they're snapping to each other, working offhand, snapping to each other, working my offhand with the step and the snap simultaneously. So now what you're doing, you're training them at all 3 phases of what's the most important. Get the snap back there. That's the number 1 thing. But then if I can snap and step, I'm buying myself that extra second.
Can you demonstrate that one more time? I thought that was really good. I want to see all the way down, though.
Oh, you want to see me go down? All right. All right, you're right, Coach. You're right. You can get my coaching points. Right. All right. So, hey, we starting practice off. I'm here.
Oh, that's good flexibility right there.
Yeah. I still got it. I still give you a right.
Oh, boy.
So you're right here. I'm going. So I'm working my step, and now my offhand's triggering with the ball snap, right? My offhand's triggering with the ball snap. Well, I go right, left, then I go set back to anchor for a pass protection play. We work it all. But it's almost simultaneous. I've been doing it for so long. So work those drills with my guys. Then I put it, so go left sled. If I go left sled here, my center back, I got a center behind him working. Now I'm down. I'm working it, right? He's on my offhand, working it simultaneous. Working it simultaneous. Work right, left, get them, get the guys used to throwing it, getting the ball back, and then bringing that snap hand back up violently. But those are good drills.
One thing kind of allude on, because I was a center in my former days, and then a guy named Jeff Saturday killed my dreams because I had to go play guard. But I think what I try to tell my guys, especially when they're covered in the run game, they get a shade, a zero, whatever way you run it, is use the left hand to kind of guide you. Okay, I'm gonna strike and I'm gonna guide. Now it's hard to hike the ball, create a lot of power. I mean, you're creating some, but then now when I refit that right hand, that's where I'm trying to really jolt the guy. Mm-hmm. And so it's like fit on the guy. If you're reaching a guy to your left, I'm reaching, I'm grabbing. And now once I get my hand back, I'm going to violently throw my backside hand and then just getting a feel out of that. But they got to understand the snap hand is really going to help square you up to your target, but then bring more power behind you.
Okay, it said Coach Devan looks like Seth Rogen.
I respect that. Look, I've been Sunday. I shaved my beard the day quarantine happened, and so I grew it back. I've been growing it. For Sunday will be 21 days.
Yeah, it says it's Coach Renteria. Say Coach Youth in the line. Line coaches are hard to find. Plus, no kid likes to play line. Yeah. We were all quarterbacks in our day. What should the center hit? What types of things? Oh no, what should the center hit a shade with the shade if the shade's on the snap hand? Now that's the tough one. That's the tough one. And so what I teach with that, if it's on the snap hand, okay, hang on, let me make sure I got the question before I get to moving. Okay, right. So in a pass scenario, if the shade is here, right, and he's rushing my snap hand, it's still the same thing. This is what I teach, right? So my first movement is going to be to get the balance, so I can anchor with him just in case he gives me power right through, right? I got this. This is where the offhand training and the cross training comes into play. Huge. I'm gonna go here. Now I'm gonna work it cross body, but I want to stay inside out. That's where my aiming point would be. If that's the center and I'm the D tackle, the aiming point is here, just in case I want to redirect and work back inside, right? So I can still continue to stay inside out on that. So I'm a huge believer in the offhand, like Coach Devan said, not to kill the guy, but it's just going to buy some extra time to get my feet and body where it need to be.
My wife was really happy that I look like Seth Rogen. She's Canadian, so she took that as a compliment. And the only thing I would add to that is I'm all for the offhand on shades both sides. Just tell your young centers to be aware if he is a loose shade, don't get all the way across. So you don't ever want that offhand to cross your midline, because then you're susceptible to counter back. But everything Coach is talking about is perfect. Just don't reach all the way across your body for these young guys that can't control.
What types of things are you personally working to develop as a coach? Oh, with me, I'm a true student of the game, man. Things like these, you know, I know we all sitting at home trying to figure things out. I know you guys probably, and I know Coach Devan, well, you got a chance to get a little spring in, huh?
Yeah, we got four practices in.
Okay, yeah. See, I didn't get any, so I'm
you're with a lot of people in college football.
Right. Yeah. You know, we didn't get any, man. I consistently try to challenge myself. One of the newest techniques that I've learned, gonna try to incorporate is Coach Devan's best friend, Jim McNally. He teaches the up kick, and I got an undersized guard. He's about 270, not that strong. You know, he's getting banged by these big three techniques, getting hit right in the mouth. You know, like he's setting three quarters. He's doing everything right. He has slower hands, but the up kick technique, working that independent hands on the inside, I'm learning stuff like that. I consistently want to get my hands on material just to learn ball in general. You know, I want to start challenging myself because I'm such a boxer. I'm such an offensive line guy. I want to see the full picture, you know, start learning about the second and third level.
I guess I'll chime in. You know, one thing I kind of spend every offseason doing, and this goes back to my tutelage because Howard Mudd, he lives here in Arizona, and we talk once a week for an hour or two, is I try to, work on my coaching cues, my verbiage, okay? Like, for example, like I don't do wholesale changes all the time, but I picked up the first, getting your first step down faster. I really bought into that with Dan Roshar told me. So I try to listen to all these things and kind of incorporate one, and it might be a small detail where to place that thumb in pass pro, all right? But then I also try to look at my drills, okay, how much carryover can those be? Because you guys understand, you know, where high school football, college football is going and the NFL game, you don't get a lot of individual time. You don't get a lot of ND time. So you have to be able to say, hey guys, like my crack of the ass step in the run game. We use that same aiming point, landmark, and technique, whether it's a gap scheme combo or an inside zone combo. And then that way I'm getting a ton of carryover. And then I also try to, always looking at whatever we did last year good, and then kind of, trying to address those issues, trying to address the things that we did good and the things that we didn't do good. And so I found, like, for example, we are not a very good independent hands team in pass pro. We've had guys try it, and a lot of it, my guys are more athletic than they are big. So as soon as they go independent hands, we don't have enough power. So I really, after this season, really am going back to my firm believer, we are a two-hand strike team that refits independent hands, okay? And this goes back from trial and error. I never went wholesale where I'm an independent hand punch, but we were dabbling with that. And when we did, I didn't buy into it. So I'm always looking at what other people are doing, not saying, what all these gurus out there are saying, like McNally. I don't say what he does is bad. I just say, it doesn't fit with my toolbox I'm providing my players. Because look, guys, we're in the O-line industry. There is a million different ways to coach and teach something, or teach a drill. Receivers, there ain't a lot. I mean, you're going to run a stick route. Well, there's about 3 ways to run it, and they're all about the same. So don't look at guys and say they're doing it wrong. Just look at it and say, I don't know if I like it that way, but I like this coaching cue. That's Howard gave me that thing when I transitioned from player to coach, and I still hold true to it, and I want to pass that on to whoever I can.
Definitely. No, I can agree to that. 100%. Coach Devan, do you read the backside DN or inside zone, or do you have the backside tackle engage the DN and have your read on the second level?
So this is our rules. If it is we read the C gap, okay, an inside zone read or tight zone read, okay? So if it's a 5-man box, we are going to block the 5 in the box. We don't, and what I say is we use a point system. So if we're running to the open side, for make it the really easiest, the center has the first linebacker head up to play side in the box, okay? The backside guard, backside tackle have the first defensive lineman backside to the second linebacker in the box. If that linebacker leaves the box because of coverage responsibilities, we will man the backside. And what I like about it, it takes the read key out of the quarterback's hand. And I've seen where that ball has been handed off, and the linebacker falls back in and makes a tackle for 4 yards. But that's okay, because if you get 4 yards, you're gonna have success in the run game. So we do not always read the D and reread the C gap area. And if our read key tells us to block him, then we block him.
It's your first day with your new team. How would you advise yourself when you were coming up? Oh, no, yeah, it's your first day with your new team and a new group of kids. What's the first drill you do? Oh, stance. Easy.
Yeah.
First thing I'm doing.
Yeah.
First thing I'm doing is stance. I don't want to do anything else before I see that, because that'll explain a lot for me. And that's just me speaking. I'm coming from the high school I played for, Mount Carmel in Chicago, veer option. So, when Coach Rochar was talking to me about a back, I didn't know what he was talking about. I'm used to putting all my weight on my hand and coming off the ball, smacking people in the mouth. So, the first thing I do is stance, because, you can fix a lot of deficiencies in a guy just based on looking at how his stance is. You can tell if it's coming off the ball a little slower, especially if you got an athletic kid and you like, nah, he shouldn't be moving that bad. Like, what's wrong? Normally the phase of it where it starts breaking down at is the stance.
Yeah, you got to get them in the stance, especially, I've been in Chicago. I've recruited Chicago. You get some spread teams, and then you go up to McHenry County, you're getting triple option, and it's all successful football. But at the end of the day, you got to get them to be able to play out of your stance, and then we do a lot of before we even hit anything, we're doing a lot of movement stuff. So we do like a 4-cone drill where we're in pass pro posture, and then I try to teach them what pass pro posture is. And Coach kind of was talking about it, but what is it? Because I think a lot of guys, they get in their stance, and then what's the next process? So I try to teach stance, and then our posture position, especially in pass pro, because if you can get in your stance, then you can get in your pass pro posture. Now it's working on the transition to the posture. So stance and start, and then being able to learn how to drive their weight in their feet. Because I think a lot of guys have their weight in their toes, hands on, weight on their hands. Well, it's all about, really, in my opinion, where you distribute your weight in your feet. If you're running outside zone to the right and you don't have your weight on your left foot, you're not gonna have success.
Knowing what you know now, as a coach, how would you advise yourself when you were coming up as a young coach? Well, I guess me and Coach Devan still young coaches. Wait, how old are you?
35.
Okay, right. I'm a little younger. I'm 30, but I would advise myself just to soak it all in, man. I'm a humble guy naturally anyway. Just with everything that I've been through, and I got too much respect and honor for the game, to cheat it. So I just try to listen and pay attention to most details as possible. That's a great question for me, being a first-year college coach, because I was a head high school coach last year. So as a first-year college coach, the challenges and the differences. I mean, I love having ball all day, but just dealing with the different personalities in your room, learning how to run the room, learning how to truly make this a profession. I can having clinics like this and talking ball all day, but no, this is truly being what I do. It's just like the same mentality that I took as when I was a player. But the biggest thing that I would have just told myself is just be open-minded. Be open-minded. And I say that because I'm going to bring up something that I know a lot of you guys probably haven't experienced, but I experienced this my first year. I had my starting right guard was bisexual, was openly bisexual. Right. So that's a new one. And, that was entering the room with that. Cause I don't judge people, don't judge, anyone for, how they are or their sexual orientation. If you're a ball player, you're a ball player. You can play, especially nowadays. And, my left tackle, who's my best player, I found out he's my best player the first day on the field, but he walked in looking like the Michelin Man. He didn't have an inch of muscle anywhere. So I'm looking at the guy and I'm like, he's the all-conference player from last year. Just being open-minded and being able to understand that sometimes your coaching methods aren't the best route for every guy, right? So we come from an era where, right, I come from an era where Coach Rochar, he can get in my face, he can speak and cuss at me, he can call me all types of assholes and all of that. It's a new and understanding that every guy's different. I set the tone and the culture for the entire room, but understanding that you got to coach your guys. You got to find out, what makes them tick, what's going to motivate them, and then what's going to be successful for the entire culture of the group.
My transition, I was the same way. I played for Mike Cavanaugh, who's at Syracuse. All right. And he would MF you. He would coach you hard, but he'd love you harder. And that's one thing I learned from him. But if Coach Cav told me to run through the wall, I would just run through the wall. And that was what we did.
Mm-hmm.
Now the kids will run through the wall for you, but you have to explain to them why this is going to help our team. So I think when I got done playing, and my career was different, I played 5 years in the NFL. I just assumed everybody was built mentally like me. Like, I'm going to do whatever I can to whip someone's ass. Well, that's not the kids we see it at all levels. I don't care if you're at Division II in the GLIAC, you're in the Pac-12 on the West Coast. All the kids are relatively the same. And so what you have to figure out is the best way to motivate them. And I think in today's world is getting them to buy in and believing in your system. I think, you hear, the old school mentality. You could be old school as long as they trust you. And you have to understand, like, guys, let me help you become a better player, and show them that the drills we're doing is making you a better player. And so one thing I've really, as I've grown, I was an assistant online coach in the NFL, and I left to go take my own room, and I learned a lot about myself. I had a kid kind of like coach's experience, but I had a kid that was had dyslexia and dyscalculia. So letters would get flipped in his head, and then numbers would too. But athletically, he was very gifted to play O-line in the MAC. And so what I did for him is I made him play one position. He only played right guard. And when I drew runs and we presented runs, they were in red for him. So he can literally see himself, and it helped him learn. So what I spent a lot of my time is, okay, focus on how to teach different people with different abilities. Because most of the time you're going to take over a room and you got guys that can play. Well, how do I do that? How do I motivate these guys? Because I just assume everybody wants to be an ass kicker. Well, they do, but you got to get them to do that. One thing I do when I took over a room is I heard a great lesson about being an owner and a renter. Okay, when you own something, you take more pride in that. When you own a home, you are going to clean up that mess the best you can. When you rent a home, you're like, I'll clean it up later. Maybe I won't do as good of a job. And so one thing I've always done is I've always tried to explain in my opening meeting is, guys, I'm an owner of this program. I am here with you guys. There's nowhere else I want to be. And look, in our profession, opportunities come and things like that. But when I'm in that job, I'm 100% in. I'm not looking for another job. I'm not nothing. I'm 100% in. And because of my jobs, I've been able to buy a home. And that's one thing I do every job I've had is I purchased a house, and to show them I'm all in. And so it's just things I've done. And I think being open-minded, I think when I left the NFL as a player, I knew exactly how I was going to do everything. And then at some point I went, okay, well, guys aren't as talented as Jeff Saturday is.
Right.
You know, I don't have Jason Peters at left tackles. All right. So now I got to take all these things. Like I was coaching Teron Armstead. When I was in the Saints, I worked with the tackles. So Teron Armstead, who in my opinion is the best. Now he's had injuries, but he's a $12 million a year guy. And I had Zach Streif. So I learned a ton about them. But then when I got to the MAC, for instance, I didn't have anything close to Teron Armstead. So I had to take what I believed in and teach it to guys that were less athletic as Teron was. So still staying within the core of my beliefs, but altering a little bit to help a less athletic guy, for example.
Definitely. But what should a coach really focus on to go from a good line coach to a successful run game coordinator?
You know, I don't know. I think it's a subjective term. When you're the O-line coach, you're really in charge of the run game at the end of the day.
Run game coordinator.
Yeah. Mine was. I'm very honored and flattered to have that title now.
Yeah.
You know, when things at the end of the day, when things don't go well, you know, you're looking at the offensive line coach. Well, now you're looking at the run game coordinator. But I think it also helps. When there are discussions in the run game, for example, at least in our room, now our offensive coordinator has final say in everything, but when it's run game, we have a discussion, and I feel strongly about something, it's going to lean towards my way. But I think, you know, just do your best to have success. Don't, you know, we were third in the conference in rushing last year. Okay. For example, in the Pac-12, which was down. Arizona had been the number one rushing team in the conference for like 2 or 3 straight years, and but we had success. And there's things in my vision that I wanted to alter, and so we're able to do that. But I have to, at the end of the day, I have to show why. I have to show why I believe strongly in a certain way, and show my support. You know, to show the staff why I want to do it this way.
Yeah, I think I can agree with Coach 100%, especially when it comes to the run game coordinator. If you're the O-line coach, you're the run game coordinator. Anyway, I think our OC, he come by my desk and say, hey, what you like? What you like this week? Then I draw it, and we go through it. I think the biggest thing is having answers. Have answers. Have the why, like Coach mentioned. Just it's like, hey, so we played Ashland, for example, and Ashland's D coordinator is huge on getting in multiple fronts. They'll go 4 down, they'll go tilt nose, they'll go bear, you know. So they was big on a coach, you know, if they hop into this, what we gonna do? I'm like, okay, they go bear, we going power, DBC baby, nice and easy. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just having answers to what you're being faced with, and then I think Coach can agree with me on this. I think especially when you're a newer guy on a new staff like I was, I had to earn trust. You know, they had to see what type of work I was. They had to see, you know, about my football knowledge and just different things that I had to prove to them, and I had to learn the offense. You know, so I was new and learning the offense, and it's funny that Coach Devan said that, and right, I always look at that when I go to O-line coaches' profiles, like run game coordinator. I say every O-line coach is the run game coordinator.
Yeah.
Right, but it's a nice deal just because that's what you're doing every day. But just like I said, it's just about having answers, man. If the OC quarterback guy, receiver guy come to you like, hey, they line up in this, what you like? You know, okay, right, inside zone or power. I like counter because we got numbers backside. You know, so
I think that's a good point for guys that are young to the profession or beginning the profession, or maybe you've been in this thing for a long time. Everybody, I promise you, at all levels, and this is high school, college, NFL. First and second down, everybody has a great run play, and everybody wants to chime in on the run play.
yeah.
All of a sudden, it's 3rd and 1, and you're close to field goal range, but you need, excuse me, you need to convert. Not one person chimes in when it's short yardage now, because that's when the pressure's on. So, you know, like Coach said, is you have to obviously you got to. I mean, I spend all my time in putting together the run game for that week, okay, for the team. And I study my ass off figuring, okay, when it's short yardage, what's my go-to, right?
Yeah.
Because, look, we're not Sean Payton where he has his nice board and they've been working out. I mean, college football is a little bit different. So you got to be ready just to get it out of your mouth. And when the pressure, when it's crunch time, okay, when you're facing bear, what's your go-to? When you're facing an odd front, what's your go-to? All of a sudden they come out and they had been like a zone read. They're playing the quarterback all week, you know, the last couple of games. Well, now they want to chase the running back and make the quarterback keep it. What's your answer? What's your go-to? And through study and then just innately who you are, you got to be able to say, no, this is the next run I want to call. And until you have that pressure on, man, it's a lot easier sitting in the back seats. And even when I was a GA and assistant online coach, like, oh, why would you call that? Well, it's game time. You better get ready to go.
Right. I think a big thing that I learned is how to train my eyes when I'm on the sideline. O-line coaches were on the sideline, right? I can't watch everything though. So I got my GA, he watches a side, or I watch a side, or I watch a point. I think the turning point for me was probably week 6. Like, it took me a while to get the verbiage. I got the job so late. I got the job 2 days before camp. So, you know, I was coming in learning like the guys were. And I told them that our first meeting. But a biggest thing, and I talked about this in one of my other coaches' Zoom conferences, are the linebackers reading guards or are they reading backfield motion, right? So I caught that. Week 6, we were playing, I think it was not at Hillsdale. We were playing Hillsdale. And their linebackers were flying on our jet motion, but they weren't paying attention to guards at all. So, you know, we got a RPO worked into that game that we talked about, power and counter RPOs earlier. So I said, okay, they're not paying attention to the guard flow at all. They're paying attention to backfield. Let's come back with the RPO, throw it right where the LB leaves. Like, you know, that's just, and that I didn't, but week 1, I didn't see that. Week 2, I didn't see that. You know, I'm looking at everything. Just I think it's it's about a progression. It's about comfort. It's just about with anything. You were a better player as a senior than you were a freshman. You know, you were savvier. I use that word a lot with my O-line, savvy. Like, you know, after you played so many reps, I know Kyle can agree with me on this. You just know how to take a zone step. You know how to get your hands where they need to be. It's just natural, comes to you. Next question is, as a run game coordinator, how do you coordinate with your OC in the offseason regarding scheme protection? How do you manage changes made by the OC or the head coach?
Sorry, my kids were yelling. Say that one more time. Sorry, Arthur, hit me that one more time.
As run game coordinator, how do you coordinate with your OC in the offseason regarding run scheme / protection? How do you manage changes made by the OC or head coach?
Yeah, I think every year every team I've been in, we've self-scouted. Okay, we've kind of looked at okay, what we have success in, what I have success in. So this past season, we didn't have the success I felt we should have, and so we wanted to figure out, and especially in the run game, we determined that the O line, we need to fit what our O line's good at, and so we kind of got rid of some trickery and said, you know what, we were really good when we just lined up in 2x2 or 3x1 and kind of limited jet motion or swoop motion that we didn't know what was going to happen to the defense. My guys last year weren't great at handling random variables throughout the play. So if they didn't know exactly who to block, that wasn't our best deal. So we looked at it and said, okay, what do we want to get rid of? What do we want to change? And then also we had to look at it and say what our quarterback situation is, because I think that is big time. You saw some of those film I showed where it's open edges, okay, where you can read whether you're manning it or you're reading the backside area. Our quarterback now moving forward is more of a pocket passer, okay? So we're going to read more second, third level RPO. So I say that we need to be able to have enough run schemes. Okay, we're not going to zone read like we have in the past, okay? We're going to need to either man things or have answers to the defense end chasing the running back. So, we're going to block the C gap with the tight end or man the C gap with, man principle on the backside and then and things like that. So I always have to present it to my OC, kind of the structure it is. I present it to the OC. This is what I want to do. Not necessarily it was because it was last year we were good or bad at it, but this is what I believe in. Here is why I believe in it. Okay. Because the OC is not going to say, oh yeah, you want to change the quarterback's footwork. Why? Well, here's why, coach. This is what I believe in. I think it'll help the running back's path. I think what we can do differently up front, and it's not, and you can't go into it and blame everything else and say, my line's not going to change. You gotta be able to say, this is why as a total package, we're going to do it this way. And sometimes it was, I need to change the way I'm teaching this because I think the running back and quarterback ball handling is really good. I got to teach my O-line a little bit differently. So we made some subtle changes, but at the end of the day, Noel Mazzoni's been doing this, 35 years and has been one of the best coordinators for the last 30 of them. And so he doesn't, he likes to do what he does, but there's been things that I've changed and I feel strongly about.
Got you. A Spartan question, ask him what he thinks of Coach Tucker at MSU. I'll take this one. I think Coach Mel should do a good job. I mean, just like Coach Devan says, the nature of our profession is change. I think Coach D'Antonio did an outstanding job. Whenever you can stay anywhere, I know Kyle can agree to this. Whenever you can stay anywhere over the 9-10 year mark, that's a deal. When you stay at one spot, coaches get fired left and right, man. Sometimes it's within your control, sometimes it's without. But I think that Mel's gonna get the Spartan Nation turned around. He already got a nice little Twitter following, so we'll see. We'll see how he does. Other than that, guys, I think that was the last question. This is being recorded, fellas. We appreciate you, me and Coach Devan. We're gonna have another one of these, I'm sure. We'll get it rolling. Again, I apologize about the hackers in the beginning. I'll lock it down more sturdy next time. But yeah, if you guys want, or the guys who want any clips, the drill work, I'll get it to you. Coach Devan, I know a couple coaches asked about your PowerPoint. If you mind sharing that, so you guys can follow us. I'll post my Twitter name on here at the end and my email as well, guys. But I'll send you guys that huddle film today.
Yeah, make sure my Twitter's on there. I've retweeted it, but y'all hit me on DM. Or if you want to email me, it's just kyledevan@arizona.edu. And I don't know if I can get the video out right now, but I can share the PowerPoint.
Yeah, and mine is Ray A. It's RAYA @northwood.edu. So that'll be my email address. And then once this done downloading, I'll get this recording to you guys. Anything else you want to see? But y'all have a good one.
Appreciate it, guys.